How you doing today? Welcome to ZK12. Who is here at ZK9? Okay, you've been to this venue before. To anyone who's here for the first time, welcome to Lisbon. We really loved doing it here in, I guess a year and a half ago. We loved doing the zkSummit 9 here, and so we decided to host it here once again. I want to quickly introduce myself. My name's Anna. I'm the host of a show called the Zero Knowledge Podcast. I'm a co-creator of a project called ZK Hack, and I'm a co-founder of a company called ZKV. I'm just laying these out because these are 3 different companies. A lot of people mix them up, but they are distinct teams, distinct orgs, distinct business models. A little brief on what they are. ZK Podcast is a podcast. Has anyone listened to the ZK Podcast, maybe? Yeah. ZK Hack is a learning hub. Is anyone in the ZK Hack Discord? We have some people. ZK Hack also produces ZK Mesh. It does a bunch of hackathons. And then ZKV is a validator running on over 12 networks. We actually have, ZKV also does industry reports. Outside, you can actually pick up the State of ZK report, which is a quarterly report that ZKV produces every quarter. So throughout this presentation, I'll be mentioning some of the initiatives of these projects, so that's why I wanted to introduce them. Okay, so zkSummit, specifically, is produced by the Zero Knowledge Podcast. And we currently have 342 episodes and counting, which is kind of cool. This is the team behind the podcast. If you're not familiar, it's Rachel, Henrik, myself, Tanya, and Jonas. And we have our wonderful co-hosts, Kobe, Tarun, Guillermo, and Nico. And Nico will actually be hosting this stage with Tanya today. I do this every time. I basically, we calculate what are the top listened to episodes. And almost every time I do this, there's a new episode or 2 who join the list. So this time it was Return to MPC with Nigel Smart. And very new, the Groth 16 IVC and formal verification episode with Jens Groth made the list for this edition. We have a YouTube channel. This is where you can find the podcast, although the podcast has no video. It's just a static screen. But all videos for this event, as well as some other videos related to the ecosystem, can be found there. We also have a jobs board. Actually, for this event, we have a lot of our sponsors who've added new jobs to the jobs board, so I really recommend checking it out if you're looking for your next opportunity. Also, if you're a team looking for good talent, we've heard stories of people hiring amazing people. We're actually trying to collect testimonials. So also, if you're a team who's hired through the jobs board, come find me later because we'd love to talk to you. This is the website. You can find all those links from the website. This is our Twitter we're going to be using. A quick note about the podcast, and I made the announcement earlier this week. I'm taking a short break from the show starting October 16th. I've been running a weekly show for 7 years, or almost 7 years, which is kind of crazy. And I want to take a pause, probably not full pause, because I have a few ideas for a few select shows I want to release in the next few months, but we are going to take a little break. The reason I mention this is that we have another series I kind of want to promote. ZK Hack has recently dropped ZK Whiteboard Sessions Season 2. And while I'm taking a break from the show, we're going to be releasing ZK Whiteboard Sessions every 2 weeks for the next 3 months. Has anyone seen the ZK Whiteboard Sessions Season 1? Great. Has anyone seen the first module of Season 2? Just a few people. Okay, so go check it out. The hosts for this edition is Nico and Tracy. And the first module is called What is Zero Knowledge Like Actually? We thought that it would be good to actually define it properly in the series. So do go check that out. All right, now a little bit about the event. So zkSummit, we've been doing this since March 2018. The event has been hosted in Berlin, San Francisco. It's been online. It's been in Amsterdam, Lisbon, London, Athens, and now Lisbon again. And this is a spot where we get to hear about cutting-edge tech. And honestly, there's been presentations on these stages of systems that maybe we didn't know it at the time, but they went on to become standards, to become really, really important. So it's great to be here with all of you to hear, about the latest cutting-edge research. Here's a few pics from previous editions. We have ZK6, 8, 4, 3, 11, 11, 10, 2, 7, 8, and 9 was actually here. So this is from this stage. Yeah, and any more info you need, you can find over at zkSummit.com. You are currently at the Lisbon Congress Center. One note, if you're staying around here, I very much recommend visiting the Lisbon city center. It's, to me, one of the most beautiful cities in the world. And I think, even though this area has some cool stuff, it has a beautiful view of the bridge, really check out the center. But yeah, we're very excited to be back here. For the stages, we have 4 tracks today. We have a main stage, side stage, breakout, and workshop. We also have the co-working upstairs and a sponsor area that you've already walked through. I think this map actually exists out in the hall, but just to go over it, we're currently in the main stage. Maybe just to note, the workshop room is a little bit harder to find. If you go to the info desk, there's a little hallway behind it. That's how you get to the workshop room. And it's only got 20 seats, so if you really want to see a workshop, be sure to get there early. I think in the past we let people kind of pack in, but this time we're going to cap it. So if there's something you really want to catch, make sure you get there early. Upstairs, we have the side stage, the breakout room, as well as a co-working area. And this is the program. I'm not sure if we had a chance to correct it, actually, but we had 2 talks cancel, so I just want to highlight those. The one at 10, we've now moved to 11, so that talk, Vanishre, she's still speaking, but we've moved that up. And on this, in the afternoon, we had unfortunately one speaker not be able to attend at 4 o'clock, so that has also been removed. Oh, actually, so then my bad. There is a talk. I should not have blanked it out. Okay, we have a recording of that talk, so actually, forget what I just said, only one talk is missing. We have a wonderful program. It's been really fun putting this together. I think we had, I didn't actually count the final tally, but it's something like 110 to 120 applications to speak. We only had 35 spots. It's been really hard to choose, but I'm very, very excited with how this turned out. Cool. Every stage also has some hosts, so Nico and Tanya are hosts of this stage. They're going to be moderating it. The side stage has Henrik and Gaylord. The breakout has Cohen and Quentin. If you're a speaker, be sure to contact your stage host just so that they know who you are, and especially before your talk, just let them know that you're in the room. As mentioned, all videos for this will be on the Zero Knowledge Podcast YouTube channel, and I actually maxed out, I think, the number of videos I can put on a playlist for ZK Summit. So now there's 2 ZK Summit playlists. We have ZK Summit 1 through 10, and then it will be ZK Summit 11, 12 onwards. This is the password, and I hope everyone's already gotten this. If not, I'll give you a second to take a photo. I think there's signs around with QR codes, so you should be able to log in quite easily. And now I want to invite Andrew to the stage to share a little bit about the NFC cards that you'll find in your lanyard pouch.
Thanks, Anna. Yeah, so all of you should have an NFC card in your badge. It's in your pouch. And the way you can actually get started with this is you tap your own badge to your own phone, and that allows you to register for it. And then once you've done that, you can go walk around and tap other people and collect their contact information. One of the coolest things you can do in the app is we have a bunch of different topics in cryptography, ranging from MPC to ZK-TLS to TEs, and you can rate whether or not you think each one of these is underrated, overrated, or fairly rated. And when you meet someone, you can figure out what hot takes you have in common, which is pretty sick. And it's all private, so unless you both agree, then nothing gets shared. So thanks so much, Anna.
So we did this actually at ZK11 as well. We had the cards, but at the time, basically what will happen, every time you meet someone, you can actually make that connection, and you can collect those connections. We have a leaderboard for the number of connections you've made, and last time I got really competitive and was like, I'm gonna be top of the leaderboard, but there wasn't really anything to win with the leaderboard. So this time around, ZKV has joined efforts with Cursive to basically offer some prizes. So if you make the most connections and rank first on the leaderboard, you're going to get 250 USDC. If you rank second, you get 100, and third, you'll get 50. Thank you so much to the Cursive team, though, for building it. It's really been an amazing effort, so thank you. Maybe we'll give a little round. I want to say thanks to them. Yeah, so have fun with them, and you can win prizes. I'm going to set the cutoff time to be 6:30. So that's the moment where we're going to snapshot it. So it won't go all week. It's really just for the day. And if you are on the leaderboard and you see yourself ranking, go talk to the ZKV team. There's a booth, just so they know who you are, so that we can get in touch with you for those prizes easy. All right. So, yes, I want to say the zkSummit this is something I don't know if everyone realizes, but like, unlike some of the other events in the space, like the zkSummit is not backed by a foundation or a token or a single network. This event is built from the ground up every single time. We actually could never do it without our amazing sponsors joining us. And for this edition, we have one return sponsor, or two return sponsors in the form of Risk Zero and ZKV, and two new sponsors, Irreducible and Veradice. I want to say thank you to all of our gold sponsors for joining us. We really couldn't do it without you. Let's give them a round. We also have our silver sponsors for this edition, also return sponsors Anoma, Fenbushi, and Neil Foundation. Thank you to the silver sponsors. And our community sponsors for this edition, Argument, Alio, Brevis, Fluent, Snarkify, Lagrange, and ZK Verify. Thank you to everybody for joining again. We really do try to keep like the ticket prices. I don't know if any of you got the early bird tickets or student discounts. We try to make them relatively affordable, and this is why we really rely on our sponsors. If you're interested in sponsoring future events, please get in touch. Here's the team that brings you zkSummit 12. We have Agni on ops, standing right there. Agni, thank you again. Let's give Agni a hand. She's like the main. We had Natalia and Hania supporting on ops as well. On the programming committee, we had myself, Nico, Philip, and Kobe. And then helping on AV, we have Henrik, who's also the editor of the show and will be editing the videos after. So thanks to everyone who put this together. So here we have our hashtags and our Twitter account. I think I'm at the question point. So if you applied for an early bird ticket, you would have seen this question. So every time we do a summit, we always ask a question. And we always get great answers from the crowd. Weird answers, like brilliant answers. Strange. Yeah, anyway, we get a lot of answers, and we always select a few to share with you. So this time around, the question was, how would you explain random oracles to a friend? It is a pseudo-random hash-based black box number generator. I would first explain hash functions and then explain random oracles as the ideal version of a hash function. Hash functions for nerds. How would you explain random oracles to a friend? Theoretically useful, inherently impractical. Imagine a magical box that can answer any question you ask it. You write down your question, put it in the box, and out pops an answer that seems completely random, but is actually determined by your question. This box is kind of like a random oracle. Ask me anything you want, and I'll respond whatever I want. I lost all my friends after I tried to explain them what nullifiers do. So great throwback to ZK11 on that one. A random oracle is what every hash function wants to be when it grows up. Oh. It involves a black box and a gnome. We got a lot of these, actually. I couldn't, and someone just wrote no. Okay. Google's random oracles. How would you explain random oracles to a friend? I don't know, I'm the friend, to be honest. So whoever wrote that, there are a lot of people in this room who can help you out with this. So I hope you'll ask around. And actually, this could be a good icebreaker for the card swaps as you're making friends with those NFC cards. So I am doing something I've never actually done before. Usually at this point in the summit, we have the platinum sponsor come up and share basically a 5 to 10 minute talk. We don't have a platinum sponsor this time around, so instead I wanted to use this time to share a little bit of history. So I want to do a very, very, very brief history of ZK research and history of ZK applications. One of the reasons for this is if anyone is newer to this space, the words we use, the terms for research papers and proving systems and applications, you may not know where to place them. And so my hope with this is to just give you a bit of a framework to understand where these words come from. So we're going to start on the ZK research front. And believe me, this is going to be very brief. So we're going back to 1982. ZKPs are invented by Goldwasser, Macaulay, and Rakoff. In 1985, they first appear in a publication. Now I'm going to fast forward 30 years, almost 30 years, to 2012. So in 2012, the term ZK snarks is defined for the first time as succinct, non-interactive arguments of knowledge. But as I learned yesterday in a conversation with Jens and Ariel, snarks are older than 2012. There are two papers that I didn't include, one in the 90s and one in 2010, that actually first described the concept for snarks. But here in 2012 is when they're first defined as snarks. 2013, we have the Zero Coin paper, which merges blockchains and the snark concept for the first time. It's followed the year later by actually a lot of the same authors, but adding more authors to create the Zero Cash paper. The Zero Cash paper goes on to influence the founding of Zcash and Zcoin. In 2016, we have Groth 16, which is published. You will hear throughout the day the term Groth 16 mentioned often. This is what it is. It's like the paper that is foundational. It's become a form of a standard. As I understand it, there is a standardization process happening around Groth 16. I think at this point it's the most implemented paper in our ecosystem. And I'm very excited that after my talk, I actually have the author of this paper, Jens Groth, coming on stage to present. Okay, following on, 2017, we have the Fry paper. Fry, this is when it comes out, but you see it being very influential also in the snark world further along. 2018, Starks and Bulletproofs. I'm going to take a little pause because I want to interject the history of this event at this moment. In 2017, there were 0 ZK events. And then in 2018, there were 4. So I think of that year as sort of the start of the ecosystem part of the story. I don't know if, I just wanted to list those 4 because it was kind of exciting. In March 2018, we had the first zkSummit. In May of that year, we had the first ZK Proofs event. In July, we had ZCon 0, and in September, we did our second zkSummit. You might wonder why we're at zkSummit 12. We actually have not been running it for 12 years. We've been doing 2 a year, and then we skipped 1 year. So anyway, just a little bit of backstory. Okay, back to the research. 2019 was considered I think at the end of 2019 especially, there was this boom in research. We had Snarktember and Snarktober, where just week after week we were getting breakthrough research coming out. Sonics introduces universal trusted setups, followed by Plonk, which, again, a standard. You'll see this throughout also some of the naming of future proving systems, but a lot of Plonk was incredibly influential. You have Aurora, Redshift, Spartan, Marlin, all that year. In 2020, we have Fractal, and then Halo and Halo 2. Halo 2, again, being implemented quite often in many different ways, lots of teams who worked on it. We have Plookup, which was I think it was the start of the lookup argument train of research. We had Quarks, and we had Plonky 1. In 2021, we have Nova, which introduces IVC, and Folding, which we're going to hear actually right after this, 2 talks focused on that. We have Breakdown, Snarkpack, Faflonk, Splonk, and the variations on the word plonk never end. There was a pause. I feel like there was a moment where people thought, okay, maybe we should put this away. But I know it's back. I know it's not. It's never going to go away. I heard yesterday also from Ariel that Splonk is not technically the name of that paper, but it's been kind of given the name, and it's a good one. 2022, Plonky 2. We have Plonky 2, which, again, has been implemented many times, is a form of a standard. We have Hyperplonk, Supernova, Culk and CQ, all in the lookup argument, or those two are in the lookup argument thread, and then kimchi. And now I'm at 2023. And I have to say, 2023 and 2024 are hard to say what the real important research will be. Looking back, we can pick out the ones that really stood out over and lasted the test of time. Here, we don't know. But I'm going to list the ones that that I would highlight for 2023, 2024 today. So Bojum from the Matter Labs team. We then had 3 works focused on optimizing the IVC concept with Hypernova, Protostar, and Protogalaxy. We have Binius, looking at the small fields, and I know we have the irreducible team here, so behind the Binius work. We have Jolt and Lasso, which utilized SumCheck. And now, this year. And it's very hard to predict which of these will stand the test of time, but here's what I have. Polymath, Stack Proofs, Plonky 3, Circle Starks, Garuda and Pari, Stir, which was presented at ZK11, and Whir, which is going to be presented today. Both looking at that Fry protocol that was introduced back in 2017 and optimizing on that. So that is the end of my short history of ZK research. If I made a mistake, let me know. If I missed something, let me know. These are definitely, this is the second time I present that timeline, and it's actually changed a little bit since doing that presentation. This is a work in progress. I hope to actually give this talk again sometime in the future. Now I'm going to share with you the history of ZK applications. And here I'm not going to go quite as granularly, like year by year, but look more like at an era. So back in 2016, this was the map of ZK. We had payments, private payments. We had 2 projects working on that, Zcash and Zcoin. There may have been other projects working on zero-knowledge research, but I tried to focus on teams that are still around today and share kind of like how they've evolved and where they've gone. So I'm going to fast forward now 4 years to 2020, and I remember thinking in 2020, wow, there are so many use cases now. We have payments, private payments, we have scaling, we have ID, and we have games. So on the payments front, Aztec is founded, and I'm putting Aztec for now in payments. I know they move, but they were private payments at the beginning, as far as I know. L2s are introduced with ZK Sync, and Mina was using recursive ZK to compress a blockchain for the first time, also kind of like using this scaling idea. IDEN3 had identified the ID use case, and we had our first game in the form of Dark Forest. So just these 5 categories, the L1, the L2, the ID, the games, and payments, I wanted to share what it looks like today in 2024. So here is what our ecosystem looks like today, and this is probably not complete. In payments, we have new players like ZKP2P, Dymo, and Pay. Aztec is still privacy-focused, but I think I've now put in the L2 category. We had a number of new L1s. ZK-focused L1s joined the fray. On the ID front, IDEN3, which had originally pioneered it, became Polygon ID, and now Privado.id. And obviously, all these other ID systems emerged. A lot of them actually involve like scanning passports and really different ways of thinking about ZK and ID. And there's all these new games, a lot of which I haven't actually explored yet, but as we were doing this research, we learned that ZK is now in a lot of on-chain games. But the map is bigger than this. These are just a few use cases. Here is what the larger map looks like today. So we have all sorts of applications for ZK. We have the hardware, we have the ZKML, coprocessors, verifiable compute, cross-chain, prover networks. And I have a category down here just called miscellaneous tools, because I don't know how to define them yet. And actually, one thing about maps like this, whenever I've seen someone else do a map like this, I've often been like, that's wrong. Or, I wouldn't put that there. That seems like it's in the wrong place. And then now that I've created one of these, I totally understand why this is. At any given moment, any of these teams may be pivoting. There might be new teams emerging. They might rebrand. They might decide to do like 2 things at once. They might disappear. There's all sorts of things that are happening. It's very much like a living map. And for this reason, ZKV, who's one of the sponsors today, I don't know if you guys noticed, but there's this map of ZK out in the lobby, which looks like this. It's been printed, and there's magnets. We want to hear from you where you think these teams belong. So please go interact with that. Move those teams to the spot you think they belong. One of the challenges, though, I'll just point out, is there are teams that actually exist in like 3 of the quadrants. You could have a coprocessor prover network ZKVM. So what do you do? And I think what we're going to ask you to do is try to figure out what are they most. What are they most well known for? Where do you think they're like putting most of their energy, and place them in that quadrant. We also left a few empty quadrants because we know that there's new ones coming. As mentioned, I have this like miscellaneous one, but if you know how to define a category for some of those teams in miscellaneous, please let us know and we can add them. Yeah, we're going to be taking I think the team at ZKV is going to be taking photos throughout the day to try to just capture what you guys think, and I hope you have some fun with it. Cool. I think that is, how am I doing on time? Whew, good. Okay, so that's the end of the history of zero knowledge research and the history of ZK applications. Yeah, as mentioned, these are works in progress, so I really would love to hear from you what you think was good, what you think we should maybe write different for future presentations. I just want to highlight for all of you the side events to this event. If you haven't yet checked it out, on our website, on zkSummit.com, there's actually a link to the side events. I'm going to share a little bit about tonight's side event, but tomorrow there's 5 events kind of happening one after another. You do have to sign up for them, so you may want to do that during the day just to make sure you're on the list. I do want to just flag the ZK Hack Meetup, which is the ZK Hack project. That is happening on the 10th, so if you're still in town, it would be great to see you there. And this time around, we have an official after party, which is brought to you by Pay and Celestia. Thank you guys for putting this together. I don't know where the Pay folks are. I don't know if they're here yet. Oh, yeah. Thank you for putting together this after party. I think you need to sign up. As far as I know, there is limited space, so it's best if you sign up, just so that they have you on that list. And this is happening at 8:30 today. So yeah, thank you guys for putting that together. All right, these are the hashtags, and please do tweet at us, let us know that you're here and share what you can. Maybe just a note, though, these events do tend to have people who are somewhat privacy conscious, so try not to take photos of people's faces unless they overtly want you to take photos of them. I know that people on the stage, you can definitely take photos there, or your team, or people you know if they're cool with it, but just maybe be aware that some people might not want to have photos. Yeah, all this info is over on the ZK Summit. Once again, here is the program as it is on your lanyard, just with that small correction. So, on this stage, I'm very excited that after this, we have Jens Groth coming up to do his talk on memory checking in IVC-based ZKVMs. On the side stage, we're going to not open it until 11, so don't go to the side stage yet. On the breakout, we have Arno Cube presenting Sonobi. And on the workshop stage, on this floor, we have Bobbin and Philip from Polygon Maiden. So I'm going to actually, it's right at time. I'm going to actually give us all 2 minutes to decide where we want to go, and then we'll kick off with our talk with Jens Groth. Thank you guys so much, and welcome to ZK12.